are y'all doing? Good morning. It is Thursday morning out here in Singapore, and I'm actually going to interview Jeff Faldalen on my page instead. He actually had a chance to interview me last week on his page, but I wanted to get your introduce you guys so you get to know him as well. And just waiting for him. Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to be here.
Good.
Great to see you.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you back. Well, I was on your page last time, so I'm glad to have you here this time. Real quick for everybody, where are you based?
I'm in Central California.
Nice. And how's the weather out there at the moment? Is it kind of cool?
It is gorgeous. It's nice blue sky.
Nice.
Yeah, it had a bunch of rain, so it knocked down all the pollution. It's a nice blue sky.
Perfect. So you got clear air, blue sky. Can't get much better than that.
It's good.
So you have a podcast. You are doing a lot of coaching work. What brought you to that arena? How did you come into that line of work?
That is a great question. By my own personal journey. And I've been doing this for almost 30 years now, doing my own stuff, getting, awakened, if you want to call it that. And being able to, sorry about that.
No problem.
I did jewelry for 20 some years and I got very good at it.
Jewelry.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I was a master jeweler and a designer, and I was at a place in my life that wasn't fulfilling me anymore, and went to a Tony Robbins event. And I went, you know what? I've been coaching people
That'll
for
do
decades. Yeah. And so that's how it came to be. Yeah. So I went and got master certified and all that stuff right after that. So yeah, it was good.
Very cool. Nice. So maybe what is the best moment for you? I know there's a moment for me when I speak to people and they suddenly have this aha, like, dang, I didn't think about it like that. And I didn't consider the other person's point of view. Like for me, that's what it is. What is it for you in your line of work with your coaching?
The aha moment that they experience?
Or your favorite moment while you speak to them? Something you notice maybe.
My favorite moment is when they have a massive paradigm shift. I mean, that's, because there's so many things that go into a paradigm, and I do a lot of unconscious stuff. So I get them to do a lot of visualization, getting them to to visit some stories that are holding them back, and we change those stories for them. And then when they come back into consciousness, they're completely different people. I mean, it's
very cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And is that a technique you learned through Tony Robbins, or something you've kind of developed on your own with many conversations?
Yeah, some of it was just in my own journey. Some of the things that I experienced, I had a pretty profound experience back in 1990. Yeah, it was about 1991. Visited somebody, and they did this incredible experience with me about visiting that inner child, that wounded child. And it was absolutely transforming. And then, after Tony Robbins, I ended up, taking some NLP courses and stuff like that. And then I ended up training with actually the person that trained alongside with Tony when Tony was getting his training. And so I got, I got to train with some of the best out there. And yeah, it was pretty magical on, so I've been doing it full time now. 7 years, I think, is what I've been doing it full time. But I've been doing it, like I said, for decades. Just wasn't doing it full time, and I didn't realize it. And just like, oh, you know what? I kind of, and now I'm on this side of it. It's funny, this guy on here, Napoleon Hill, he's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, I've seen him a couple of times now. Yeah, it's nice to see him on here.
Reading that book, Napoleon Hill, was pretty profound for me, because there were two things in there that I thought, wow, that would be amazing.
You see that? Jeff versus Tony. Jeff is much better. Look at that. Wow. Napoleon Hill.
Yeah. Some people say I'd be like, if Tony Robbins and Wayne Dyer had a son, that's who I'd be.
That's cool, though.
Yeah. But
that's a really cool comparison.
Yeah, but looking back on when I was going through, I listened to Think and Grow Rich probably 300 times. It was
he just said that, holy cow.
Yeah, and just really listened to it. And then there were a couple decisions that I made unconsciously then that I wasn't aware of until, actually just up until a couple of years ago. And it was, how do I get paid to learn? And then how do I get paid to talk to people?
Okay.
And I'm not an extrovert. I'm not, but I just enjoy deep conversations with people. I'm not much into talking about the weather and stuff like that. It's like, hey,
Yes.
what's holding you back? And let's just go there, right? Let's just dive in and figure out what's going on. So yeah, that's been, but those two decisions, years later, I went, I'm actually doing that. I'm getting paid for my ideas. I'm getting paid to learn, and I'm getting paid to talk to people. So yeah,
very
power
cool.
of decisions, amazing.
So maybe what was one of those biggest hurdles that you had to jump through? I mean, for your own journey. A lot of us are still learning, obviously, but what was one of those really difficult aha moments for yourself?
Wow. There were many.
No, I'm sure there are, absolutely. As we're learning, there's always one. But maybe the one that kind of tipped the scale in your favor as far as, why don't we go ahead and do this full time? Why don't I do this because I love it so much?
Yeah, because the reason was because I didn't feel like my life mattered. And when I started looking at some things and doing some questionnaires and stuff like that through other mentors, and really searching for, this is going to be a long answer to your question, but
sure, no, that's fine.
So about 10 years ago, I'm studying Brian Tracy, and Paul Tracy, the race car driver. Sorry.
You can study him too.
Yeah, but I was studying Brian Tracy thing, and he says, you need to have a succinct purpose to the point. If I woke you up at 3 a.m, put a gun to your head and says, what's your purpose? You need to be able to answer it, or I pull the trigger. Okay. And I got up that morning and I was like, wow, what is my purpose? And this was when I was starting to recognize that jewelry wasn't my thing anymore. I sold all my jewelry equipment and stuff. And and really,
he's a super fan over here.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. The guy's doing some amazing things too. But so I started looking at that, and I came up with my purpose is to use my passion, creativity to empower others. Okay, but that's been my purpose since then. And really starting to look at that, and then moving through this process of, it's like I made that decision, and I made another decision back in '90 that I said I wanted a better quality of life. And it's really important for us to really inventory what decisions we make, because the decision is what ends up creating the consequences that we wanted, right? So anyway, when I made that purpose statement, I started doing some training and stuff like that, getting me some mentors and things like that. And this one mentor started asking this questionnaire of really getting succinct about what that meant. And she said, what did you want to be as a child? Okay. And then what significant events do you remember in your life, and how has that shaped who you are today? And when I was a child, there was a kid when I was in second grade. His name was Kevin, and he was a little bit challenged, and I befriended him, and he and I were buddies and stuff like that. And he ended up getting killed in second grade. And I remember the teacher and saying, hey, did you hear what happened with Kevin? And she goes, yes, and we will not be discussing it anymore. And I was just like, wow. If
you had questions, can you imagine all your classmates having questions? Like,
it was just something that shifted inside of me going, I want to be that person that makes people feel significant. And of course, back then, I didn't realize that I was doing it from a place of emptiness inside of myself. But that is one of the significant events that happened in my life, that I want people to recognize how valuable they are. Because that's been my journey of me recognizing how my own uniqueness and stepping into that value. That has been probably the biggest paradigm shift for me, is learning that I am the person that has to build a relationship with myself, and out of that, I will change. I can move mountains with that. And instead of looking outside of myself to feel that significance, it has to come from within. And recognizing that, we live every single moment of our lives with ourselves. And it has to become the most important relationship, right?
We need to be our best company. Exactly.
Yeah. So that was probably the biggest shift for me, was really recognizing that, of how significant that really is. Because we really think that other people see us through the filter that we've created of how we see ourselves. And once we value who we really are, then we're more caught up in what we think about other people than what they think of us. That was probably the biggest thing. Yeah.
So you and I actually met through, I'm sorry, I'm moving here because there's a bunch of little children coming to play on the playground.
Cool.
You and I actually met through American Girl TV, and we got a chance to kind of share bits and pieces of our story because we're like, the challenge is a minute at a time, right?
Right.
So you were able to actually engage the audience and our community in the group itself and help people open up and have like a discussion, even though it was based on a minute worth of content, but I feel like you did that very well. So I'm curious, do you feel like when you're in person talking to people, when you're online talking to people, when you're doing these minute elevator pitches, for lack of a better word, do you feel like you are all the same person, or do you get aspects of that that come through depending on what it is that you happen to be talking about?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think it's as authentic as I can be in that moment, you know, because, and really recognizing that, you know, and this is another big breakthrough that I've discovered over time, is just really realizing how dynamic we really are. Like, one day I can be in this state that I'm on and my vibration's high and I've slept well and I've ate well and I've got good people around me. And then something over here can hit me and I'm tired and I'm hungry and boom, it's like, so I always, you know, I do everything I can to be as authentic as I can. And that in itself has been a challenge for me of learning how to round the edges, I guess, a little bit more, because I've been such a type A, and I don't even like saying a type A personality, but I was. I mean, I could just be this intense, just and really learning how to soften it down and simplify it so that people are more receptive to that message. So that's been some of my craft that I've been working on. But most of my message has been, I guess I would rather just be who I am than try to be somebody that I'm not and then have to go, well, why did I say that at that time? Right. Because, you know, I took on a phrase that I read in a book, probably one of the most influential books of my life, and that's the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I studied that book, read that book many, many, many times. Started reading it back in the mid-'80s to late 90s, and then I got clean in 90. But it said something that really has been one of those pillars that I build my life on, and that is live a life that demands rigorous honesty. And, you know, there's a big difference between cash register honesty and being rigorous honesty with yourself, but being really honest with who I am and as a person and being able to talk about what's going on inside of me. Because, you know, and unfortunately, that's one of the things that goes on with social media is that everybody's trying to put this facade up. And I've been guilty of it as well. Yeah, I've been guilty of it as well, putting up this. I mean, I got this nice waterfall behind me and stuff like that. But I understand about how to grab people's attention. My intention is to grab somebody's attention. If I can have their attention for just a moment, then maybe I'll be able to create an interest that will lead them to have the desire to want to take action, to have me be a part of their life. So I really work very intentionally on grabbing people's attention, but it's still authentic because my intention is authentic. My authenticity.
You're service oriented.
Yeah, my authenticity is I want to do every single thing I can to get somebody to believe that they are so freaking way more awesome than what they ever would imagine, and being able to step into their potential to make greater things happen for themselves and humanity. So yeah, I don't know if that. So
that answered the next question actually, because I was going to ask you, you know, what would your motto be? But if I like that idea that you're trying to live a life of rigorous honesty. I like that concept. It's not just, okay, when it suits you, I'm going to be honest, and when it doesn't hurt anyone's feelings, I'm going to be honest, but you're just going to be honest in general. And I think that's important. You won't always feel the same way. You have life happen to you just like everybody else does while you're trying to help other people. But the fact that you would be honest about that as well, I think it's almost like an evolutionary awakening for a lot of us, actually. A lot of us are really understanding that, yeah, the pictures look great. The filter, the lighting, you know, your outfit, great. But at the end of the day, what are you saying? If I meet you in the street and then if I meet you online, are you going to be saying the same thing? Are you flowery on purpose online, or are you actually saying what you mean to say? Like, to be very honest, I speak in quotes and, you know, movie dialogue and lyrics, and you see that in all of my posts because I love that. I don't think I could have said it any better than they did it before, but if you want me to explain it, we'll have a great conversation about that too.
Right.
Because I post what I believe in. So I think you do the same thing, and I really appreciate that. You want people to have the courage to stand up. You want people to have the courage to live their life the best way they see fit instead of just settling. And I think that's another thing that's going on at the moment. And I appreciate that because growing up, we didn't have that. Growing up, we had to kind of find it for ourselves. But I feel like those of us who live through hardship appreciate that more. So the fact that you're doing this work is tremendous. I think it's a big impact kind of, you know, situation at the moment.
Yeah. And, you know, talking about, I think that, you know, there's a movie that I watched a couple of years back, and I think it's called 4 Minute Mile. And
okay, I know that story.
Yeah, it's about a coach that washed-up coach that sees this protege, right? This kid that's got this incredible talent, and this kid's got all kinds of attitude, and he knows that if he
they usually do.
right. He says and he just befriended this kid, and he started training him to run a 4-minute mile. And so he broke it up into quadrants of having him run these drills. And this kid runs through this through this intense training program, and has him run through this first drill, and the kid falls on the ground. He's just screaming, I'm in so much pain. I can't take it anymore. I cannot bear this pain anymore. And that coach walked up to him and said something that it was just like a 4x4 upside my head, because I think this is what stops 99.9% of people of stepping into their awesomeness. They're afraid of the pain. They're afraid of the pain. And once you understand that pain is a part of the process of letting go of familiarity and stepping into unfamiliarity, the more you can embrace that and understand from the pain you're going to gain, the more you're going to be willing to change these things and let go of what, because for some people, you know, it's unfortunate that a known hell is better than an unknown heaven. And they have this relationship with this toxic stuff in their head or in their environment or whatever.
Because they know what to expect.
They know what to expect, right. And this is what's familiar for them. And you ask them to step into something that is better for them, more healthy for them, getting them to believe in stuff like that. It's such a huge chasm that people will, and I've been one of them. I mean, I can't tell you how many people, when I first started down this journey of enlightenment, whatever you want to call it, living a better life, I had a lot of relationships where people really cared for me and supported me and stuff like that. And it was so foreign to me that I challenged that relationship to the point that some of them walking away of just going, dude, you just don't get it. I care for you, and I don't have to keep proving it to you. You don't have to prove that somebody cares for you. And that's was my message growing up is, well, if I love my mom, you will do this for me. Everything had that if-then
statement is very tricky, actually.
Right. And everything, if you love your mother, you will do this. I mean, everything was about me having to prove my love to my mom. And I didn't realize how much that created such a deep program within me that if you love me, then you're going to be willing to go through what I want.
Going forward with everybody else,
Right. And so it really took a lot of people that, you know, tough love. I mean, I used to have guys hang up on me when they'd be sitting there and I'd be talking to them, I'd be crying about my woes, and they'd hang up on me. And I'm like, calling back, I'm like, what the heck? Why'd you hang up on me? He says, because you keep saying you know. I can't coach you if you know. And it was just hammered my ego. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I can't take this. But yeah, so it's, you know, I've had some amazing experiences. And, you know, it's just like a client that I worked with a couple weeks ago. Very successful. She almost looks like, she looks like a movie star, has great successful businesses, great relationships with her son, creates, you know, someone would look on the outside of her and go, man, this woman's just amazing. And she is. She's got it. Woman. And she and I had a session, and she come out of that session and she goes, for the first time in my life, I can say I love my dad and really mean it. And it radically changed how she's seen a lot of things. And now because of that, it's taken off in another whole part of her business. See, it's getting people to understand that there's programs that are playing. Success is a program. Failure is a program. Love is a program. Compassion is a program. All of these different things that we play out and we talk about, we all have programs and certain meanings of what that's supposed to be like. And if we can really look at what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a woman? What does it mean to be a mom?
And where did you get those ideas?
And where did you get those ideas? Exactly. And really being able to have the awareness of what identity we've given those things. And again, we create the identity, we create this belief, and now we've invested into this belief, and it gets very difficult for us because it's familiar and we don't let it go. And the more mature we become, the more adaptable and flexible we become. We're able to look at something and go, this doesn't work, let it go, and then take on something else that works better and is more aligned with where we want to be. It's and that's just been getting my butt kicked over and over and over and over. But
the point is, most people don't get it. All you got to do is show up. The butt kicking is there. But on the other side of that, like, what do you understand from it? Right. No one who has made anything of themselves had an easy life. No. Tony Robbins did not have an easy life. Robert Kiyosaki did not have an easy life, but they paid attention enough to be able to see what else there was. They opened their mind. They questioned everything. And that's something that people don't teach anymore. Don't question me. I'm teaching you. This is what it is. But we as coaches, I feel like, are showing people where to look, and then letting them discover the rest for themselves. I'm not here to tell you what to do. My experience is different from yours. Right. But maybe consider this. Maybe consider this, and then see how you feel about those things. So I'm grateful to have met you. I'm really glad that you are you're doing the work that you are. And it's amazing. You never know who you'll meet on your path. You never know what things will, what events will bring people together. And if it wasn't for American Real, I wouldn't have met all these wonderful people, you included. So it's been really great.
And that's, and I just want to encourage your audience that, we've all been given this thing called free will. And it's one of the greatest gifts of love that is just amazing. And understand that every single decision we make has a consequence. Consequence is not negative or positive. It's a consequence. It's just an effect of a cause, right? And really getting people to understand that you can decide that you are amazing. You can decide that you are a person of incredible love. You can decide that you can really create the life that you desire and make that happen. Or you can decide, which that's more in line with your truth, because if you look at a child understands impossibility. A baby, just think about the whole concept of being able to walk. That's a massive, massive shift. Yeah, somebody put up here, you don't need a hard life to want to improve. Absolutely.
That's true, Mike. Yeah.
Absolutely. It does not take that. In fact, it seems that people that don't have a hard life, they're the ones that get into complacent a lot more, because someone that's had a hard life wants something better than what they have. And I certainly appreciate that comment, because, you can get off at any elevator that you want when you're rising up on the floor, but getting people, and that's the other part, that's why that statement that I'd said, live a life that demands rigorous honesty, this is a skill that I think a lot of people really should seriously invest in, and that is being honest with yourself. Yeah. If you're not having the love relationship that you want with your partner, why? Why? If you're not happy at your job, why? If you're not making the amount of money that you want to be making, why? Ask these questions and look at that, because you have all the same opportunity that any one of us have. And to believe that you've been singled out and that life is against you, that's a program. And it's a bullshit program. And it's being able to take that and understand and switch that, because it's understanding what we focus on expands. And I promise you, I got a PhD in victimhood. I know how to be a victim. I know how to be woe is me, and I know how to feel. I know what it feels like to put a gun to your head and to spin that chamber and pull the trigger and hope that it went off. I know what that feels like, right? I know what it feels like to almost take my sister's life in a car accident because I was out to destroy myself, right? I know what these things feel like, but it's understanding that you can switch how you feel about anything in a nanosecond. Your life is a reflection of how you define it. Get my book. It'd be a good start. but you know, and I want to say this with you as too, and this is why I appreciate you having me on here. Since I started American Real, that opened up a whole other awesome thing for me, just meeting Roger and everybody that I've met on there. But really, and you're going to be on my show this Thursday, right? Or this next Tuesday on my Facebook Live show, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So everybody stay tuned on that. You'll see it at jeffaldalen.live next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where I'll get to interview her again. But understand, friends, everybody watching this, you can create a garden that bears incredible fruit. And it's up to you to decide. Don't go planting weeds, because you just don't need to do that, right? But
right.
It's understanding that your life can change just like that right now. You decide, I am valuable, I am worthy, I am amazing, because I can prove it to every single one of you. If any of you have a child, okay, and that child's life was on the line, you would do whatever it took to save that child's life. Right? No questions asked. You wouldn't be caught up in what anybody's going to think of you. None of it. The top priority would be to save that child's life, right?
Yes.
So if you put you as your top priority, whoa, what would happen? What would you be able to do? Because every decision is value clarification. So what I mean by this is, you can decide in a moment, are you going to decide that this is going to be too scary, or am I going to decide that this is going to take me to the next level? And what you look at is, I value acceptance, or I value me creating more significance for this planet, right? Every decision we make is value clarification. So the more you understand that, and the reason I point out that if you have a child and you need to save that child's life, instantly you know what you value. You value saving your child's life more than you do your BS stories about what you can't do.
Right.
We have the resourcefulness inside of us. Own it. And show up for shows like this. Text me, text her, and say, help me.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're here for.
Right.
And real quick, Mike is asking what the title of your book is. I think you flashed it a little too fast for us.
It's The Map to Your Fullest Potential. Okay, The Map to Your Fullest Potential. You get it on Amazon, 99 cents for the ebook. I got it as cheap as I can make it. But it's giving yourself permission to step into your greatness. And there was in fact, the irony of this, when I started my show, and you probably don't know this, there was a book that I read many years ago, and the name of the book was Permission to Succeed, okay, by Noah St. John. Okay. Guess what? I've had Noah on my show. Right? I mean, it's just amazing what's happened when, another quote, and I'll leave with this, another quote that has really helped me push through fears. Friends, understand, I have fear. You have fear. She has fear. I do. Fear. And Pika understands that we all have fear, but it's what you do with it that matters. Okay? Yes. So when I heard this quote by Zig Ziglar, I heard it many, 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 many times, but there was just this one moment I heard it that it clicked for me. You can have everything you want by helping others get what they want.
Yes.
And that's what motivated me to start my show. I started my show for me so that I could have epic conversations like this, right? Because, friends, when you start to rise, you understand you have vibrational level harmonic relationships. When you start to rise, it's going to cause tension with that relationship in your environment. Just understand that. It's not good, bad, or indifferent. But the best thing that you can do is to stay true to who you want to be. So I had to create this show because I was doing that. And all my friends were like, dude, why aren't you going to settle down? Great, simple answer. Never. I am never going to stop. I'm never going to settle. I'm going to keep going. And that's just who I am. But that's why I created my show, is so that I can learn how to have great conversations with people like you. And oh my gosh, it has opened up a world that's just been, I met Vahid and Napoleon Hill. So now Saturday, I'm going down to Napoleon Hill Foundation for a full big day event. Again, friends, give yourself permission. Just give yourself permission.
It's out there. It's ready. It's waiting. You just gotta, step to the plate.
Just give yourself permission. Go through and see, this other thing. You cannot experience courage until you go through the fear. Fear, courage is contingent upon fear. Too many people are like, well, I want to have courage. They think it's the absence of, no, it's going through the fear.
It's in the presence of fear. You got to feel the fear first. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called courage.
Absolutely. And it's understanding these simple little things that can just absolutely catapult and change your life beyond your wildest dreams. I mean, if you changed your life 1% every single day, 1%. So say really getting in touch with how you talk to yourself, about the feedback you give yourself. That is vital. I mean, are you going to say, I'm an idiot, I'm stupid, I'm not going to blah, 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 and then you wonder why you don't take risks?
What you tell yourself is super important.
Right. I mean, who wants to
I think we covered that last week.
Yeah. I mean, or do you say, hey, this is part of the process, I'm just learning, I'm getting better, and this is part of what I need to do in order for me to get better. How do you talk to yourself? Huge, huge distinction. So, yeah, and show up to shows like this and keep following Pika. She's got some great stuff. I've watched her other shows, and you got some great people on there. So,
thank you. I've had a lot of eye-opening conversations lately. So, I mean, I don't know if you caught it, but what started out to be like a 30-minute conversation last night at like 9 ended up being a 3-hour conversation, which we had to get on and off a couple of times. But it was wild. I loved it.
Yeah, that's great. And that, and that's just it, of just understanding how each and every one of you on this show is a unique expression of divine, whatever that means for you, right? Whatever that means for you. And you were put on this earth to do something. And if there's things in your life that are holding you back, that you've been conditioned to believe, what I call BS, belief systems, right?
Yep.
You were conditioned to believe things that are limiting you. That's it. That's all it is, right? So get with somebody that can help you change your script about those stories and then step into what you were really meant to do. Because what you were meant to do when doing whatever it is, and it can be just being a great mom. It doesn't have to be the big stages or whatever. But
even that's big. Every little thing is actually quite big if you do it well. Yep.
Absolutely.
If you show up really to do it.
Show up. That's a great word. Show up. Give your life. And this is one of the quotes. And actually, it's funny because I said this probably 12 years ago. And it's another one of those default quotes that I say, live your life like you get to.
Yes, and that's the one I chose to actually to let everybody know I was getting ready to talk to you today. So
cool. Yeah, because I mean, it's the more you get out of life, what you put into it, And if you're gonna focus on and see, and I've had, I don't know how many coaches. I've had many. I've had many coaches. I will have many, many, many more coaches. Right now, I have probably 5 coaches that I could call at any time for any particular thing that I'm dealing with. The more, because I want to share this because this is important. A lot of people have heard the word meek. What does it mean? What does the word meek mean? Anybody got any idea? What does the word meek mean to you? And when my
understanding,
So what do you think it means?
My understanding of the word meek is that you would rather be in the background. You would rather not, step forward or say anything out loud. You'd just rather watch than show up.
Nope.
No?
That's what a lot of people think. I mean,
I'll have to go back and check it out.
Less than, they think it means timid. They think it means quiet. They think it means all that. I did too. The word meek. So we've heard the saying, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
They shall inherit the earth, yep. Mm-hmm.
This is what meek means. It means power under self-control. Yeah.
I like that better.
Yeah, right? So I practice being meek. Meek because again, I mean, you've seen my quotes that I put out there. It's the one that masters disappointment is free. If you don't like disappointment, just do it more. Yeah. Just get better at it.
So it doesn't feel so uncomfortable. Yeah.
Right. and that's, but again, it goes back to what I said earlier about how do you talk to yourself when you make a mistake? Because this is the other part about things that have happened. Okay. And we're being real here. And I know you were pretty vulnerable on my show, and I really appreciated that. I have been beaten black and blue from head to toe. I have been molested. I have been abandoned. I have been, I think I shared with you, and you're up there too. I've been in like 40 6 different places. I mean, I've gone through the gamut. And I say all this to say this, is that it doesn't matter what's happened to you. And that's part of the process of going through that. But it's the story you've attached to what's happened to you. Right?
How do you identify yourself after all those things? Absolutely.
Right. And it's you that can, and when you take full responsibility for your life and you understand that it is up to me to decide how I see myself, that's when you recognize that and I don't like saying it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, but what they think doesn't get in. That's a big, big difference. Because it
doesn't affect you. Yeah.
Right. It doesn't affect you. Exactly. And it's one of my things that I've done a few shows on this about these guys out there screaming, don't give a beep, beep, beep what anybody else thinks of you. And I get why they're saying that. But when you understand true power, that is not a very effective way to do things, because we obviously got to care what people think about, but not let it in. Being able to be able to care what they say, but not let it in or take it personal, because the reason we take things personal is because there's something inside of us that gets animated. That is there. Yep. When it gets animated, it means it needs to be healed. Someone that gets offended a lot, all right, cool. Let's look at what makes you offended. What's the story you tell yourself? What is the scripts that you play? And let's start unraveling that. But a lot of people, I was one of them. You offended me, I just took you out at the knees. I mean, I'm a pretty good sized guy. 6'2", but at one point I was about 235 of just pure muscle, and I had that look of just like, don't mess with me. But I did that because I was scared. I was scared inside, and I didn't know how to approach people, and I didn't want to hurt anymore. And but when I started unraveling all this pain that I had inside of me, I was able to move through some things, and now I can actually say I really work at loving each and every single person that I meet today. I really want to make them feel more special because they had the opportunity to interact with me. And I want to make them feel more special as a result of that. And if you'd have known me even 10 years ago, that wasn't even on my, 15 years ago, that wasn't even on my radar. Okay. So we owe it. And so I bring up the meek thing is because you, all of us, me included, have been taught BS lies.
3D art in the back?
No, it's just a monitor that I play with a screen. It's an app, cool app. I love playing it on my TV. But us stepping in our power, to truly step into our power, we have to let go of the things that deny it. We really have to look at that. And I'm working at it every single day. I know Pika's working at it every single day. It's not like this goes away.
There are days where I don't win.
Right. But it's because true power, and this is what's important. We all know that there's darkness. We all know that there's evil in this world. There is. I mean, I'm not talking about religious stuff here. I'm talking about darkness uses strategies to limit us, to keep us at a lower vibration so it can thrive. And if you think about how a parasite works, it connects itself to the host. It causes the host to crave what feeds that parasite, and then the parasite takes over the host until the host goes away. Okay?
Right.
That's how I look at darkness. And darkness,
the power of distraction.
There's lots of different strategies they use. Sympathy's one of them, by the way. That's a powerful strategy by darkness. But shame, when we look at shame is when we have something inside of us. And there's a difference between shame and guilt. Shame is, I am wrong. Guilt is, I did something wrong, right? And it's really a very important distinction. But if we have shame inside of us, it's going to animate when we start hearing things like, I want to create an abundant life. Shame's going to go, who are you? Who are you to think that you can create?
What could you possibly offer? All of this, yep.
Yeah, look at all the screw-ups you've done. Who do you think you are, right? And this is, so I know this is kind of hard to imagine, but we are all creative people in here, right? Imagine that I used to have hair down to here. Okay? I used to have really, really long hair. And when I started going bald, I was suicidal. I mean, it was one of the most painful things I ever went through when I was going bald. And as time went on, and now looking back on it, what was going on was shame was kicking my butt. I didn't realize, I got a scar that's about that long down the back of my neck because I broke my neck in my car accident. But see, that scar is connected to what I did to my sister. Shame. Shame.
Okay.
So I have a very, very personal relationship with shame. And this is one of the other messages getting people out there. If you let go of shame, I mean, and we've been so conditioned, oh, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
That's a powerful, powerful word. And what's happening is that our unconscious is telling us this is the behavior that you should do. Behavior is an adaptation. So it puts out this behavior. Okay, cool. And then someone comes along and says you should be ashamed of yourself. Wow. And so now that imprints inside of our neural programming, if you will. And then now anytime we start stepping out into expressing ourselves, that thing fires every single time. And it's like, wait a minute, who do you think you are? Look at yourself. Listen to yourself on the camera. Who do you think you, and see, when we can get past that critic, we are free. We are free because, I'm going to have people, I still have people say, dude, you need to grow some hair or whatever. But I've come to terms with myself of what it means to me. And if we don't know what it means to us, we're going to take what some other person's opinion. So it's really important for us to, and that's what I loved about Live Tribe. When I got into Live Tribe, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Because what's one of the greatest fears out there? Public speaking, right? Yep. But it's not public speaking. The fear is what they think of themselves. What
they would think of, how they appear to everybody else.
Right, that's the fear. So if you can confront that script, because see, there's two things that really can determine what we create this thing called perception. One is the images that we have in our heads. So as a child, you could walk up to a black king cobra snake, probably walk up, okay, cool, and start petting it, not recognizing what it is, right? Because you wouldn't know that it was actually harmful to you. But we're conditioned and we're taught what is harmful and what is not harmful. But the problem is that when that image comes up and it's not in alignment with what's going on. I got my heart broke by a woman with brown eyes and brown hair and lips and everything like that. Therefore, all of them are like that. No, that's not accurate, right? So but we create these images in our head, and that's what determines how we perceive things. The other thing is the scripts that we tell ourselves. The scripts that we tell ourselves. So if I say like with you, brown eyes, brown hair, olive colored skin, stuff.
How did I know that was coming?
The script telling in me in my head of that is a woman that's out to, whatever that story is, right? Those are the things that determine the quality of our lives. So what scripts are we telling ourselves, right? What are the scripts that we're telling ourselves about, and the thing that I love about potential, I'm obsessed with potential. I really am. It's what I call my great obsession. Potential is the actualization of possibility. It's the actualization of possibility. So you have potential here. You take an action. That action produces a result. From that result, you create a belief.
Right.
And the potential, every time you step into potential, it expands.
It's like you test it. Yep.
Every time you step into it, it expands. So understanding this and looking at, has somebody created $1 billion? Yeah. So then it's possible. It's possible, right? Somebody else has done it. And knowing now we can do live shows and stuff like this online. I'd like to take my phone. I don't have a phone here, but your phone literally is an ATM machine. If you know how to use it.
Yes.
If you know how to use it, right? So give yourself permission to ask God, the universe, whatever it is that you want, and stay in that space. Because so many people ask what they want, but then what happens is all the weeds that they haven't cultivated yet come up and say, who are you? How am I going to make this happen? I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not blah, blah, blah. But if you stay in that space of what you want to create, then there's going to be things that are going to be animated within yourself. When I mean animated, you're going to feel it. Those are the things that you need to confront within yourself. And what your ability, your outcome is going to be contingent upon what you can overcome.
Right.
So the more you can overcome, the more you trust yourself, the bigger risks you're going to take, and stop that freaking language of beating yourself up when you make a mistake, because That's conditioning. It's just conditioning. It's just programs that we play in our head. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of spaces that allow creativity. When I was in architecture school, I learned something amazing. They had this thing called partay. They called it P-A-R-T -I. And what it is, it's a sacred place. It's a sacred place where you can come in there and you can throw any creative idea out there and nobody's allowed to judge you. Nobody.
Okay.
And everybody just gets to throw all these creative ideas out there. And it's amazing what ends up happening as a result of it. But how many things do we want to create that we shut down because we're afraid of what somebody else is going to say?
Yep. Yep. And that's where action kind of cures fear a little bit, and you get out of your own way. So yeah.
Right. And it's really, to me, it's honoring that whole gift of, because to me, the word inspire actually is a Latin word that means God breathed. Okay. So when you have an inspiration, it means it's God breathed. It's like, okay, I better take this serious, because again, it's training that behavior. Because if I get an inspiration and I don't do anything with it, guess what? It's just going to go to the next person that's going to actually do something with it. So the more I take that seriously, I am very discerning on who I share that with, right? Like you asked one of my biggest breakthroughs, and I meant it. When I said I've had many big ones, because
I'm sure I have too.
Yeah, and I know you have. And I haven't, I guess it depends what day you ask me, right?
Yep, whatever message is profound that day. Yep.
Because I got off bipolar meds. I was on bipolar meds for 10 years. And they say it's an impossibility to get off bipolar meds. I'm here to tell you.
You're doing it, though.
Doctor, nor do I play it on one on the internet, which is ridiculous, but the FDA usually make those dumbass requirements. Sorry, but your mind is very dynamic. But when I got off bipolar meds, I went through, my vision got crazy, my memory it started doing some crazy stuff to my head. But I went through it. But when I did that, I did it. It's like one of my desert experiences. I call it when I go out into the desert all by myself, right? Because I don't want anybody else planting seeds in my head that I have to take out. Right. Right. So I had
it's like a clarity thing. Walk about.
I had very powered up coaches helping me go through it, my diet, everything. And I didn't want to be around anybody that told me you can't do that.
Okay.
So it's take your thought, and I say that in the sense of doing the same thing for your dreams. Go to the people that are going to encourage you to make it happen. Go to the people that believe in you, that's going to show you how to make what it is that you want to create to a reality. Read 10 pages of a good book every day. That's one of the disciplines I created. Listen to something, 15 minutes of something good every day. Be on these shows like this every single day, and just start immersing yourself to change your thinking, to train it. Like this guy here, Napoleon Hill. He's
back. I see him.
Yeah, he's got a great story. He said he studied Think and Grow Rich for 3 years. For 3 years before he started creating that white hot, burning desire inside of him. 3 years. And that's what I'm saying is, us learning to manage ourselves is the greatest skill that you can ever develop. Managing yourself to make yourself more hungry, meaning wanting to create more abundance. Manage yourself so your feelings don't get hurt so much. Managing yourself to push yourself through fear when you need to do it. Manage yourself to say, hey, I screwed up. Whatever it is, learn to manage yourself more. And the more you're able to do that, the bigger impact you're going to make. And, that's what I'm saying, 1% every single day. 1% every single day. What is the one thing that you're going to change today that's going to make you better and closer towards your goals? It compounds over time. And makes
it does.
Yep,
happen. That's the Slight Edge at work. Yep.
Slight Edge. Have you read that book?
Yeah, I have. It was very irritating.
That's one of the,
I didn't realize how much time I was wasting until I read that book, and I was very upset at the end. So.
Yeah,
it's been a major influence.
That was a major book in my life, The Slight Edge. It was a major book in my life, and but the compounding effect is live and well, and it works for everybody.
It's true. Yeah. It's the reason I have over 350 episodes on my podcast. I just did it once every day.
You have 350. I'm not on your. How do I get on your show podcast?
I'll send you a link after this.
I would love to.
Because the difficulty for me is I'm in Singapore. I'm not in the U.S., so I'm not on iTunes and Spotify yet. But I'm on SoundCloud.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, there's some things that you can show me. I can tell it already because I see you did. Oh, how you created that timer on my picture. It's like, girl, you got to show me.
It's just a sticker. It's just a sticker. Yep.
But you put the time. I'll do it then. That is awesome.
It's a sticker. It's a countdown sticker. Yep, that's it.
I got it. Cool. See, and that's why I love being around people like you. People that think big, people that think in possibilities, people that think in how are we going to make this planet a better place than when we got here. Right?
Honestly, let me tell you a secret. I don't even think that big. It's like, how can I not spend money and do this anyway? And that's where necessity becomes the mother of invention. You figure it out.
Right. And that's a great, necessity is the mother of all invention. Yes. Well, and that's, and what is,
I'm cheap. That's all it is.
Yeah, but it's still good. Value your skill.
I do.
But it's good. Necessity is the mother of all invention, and it absolutely is true. And that's what, and there's still so many things that are yet to be created that people haven't created yet.
Yes.
Yeah. And what if it's just somebody on this call or watching this video and they hear something and they go, what if? Go
do. That's the next 2 words. What if, and then go do.
Right. Absolutely. Go do. And then surround yourself with people that make it. See, and that was another big shift for me too, is when I recognized big people that have created big things, that are big thinkers, they don't laugh at ideas.
No.
It's the people
they really consider them. It's not one in ear, not the other. They really consider them.
Right. And they don't make fun of you, and they don't put you down, and they don't reject you, and all these things, because it's the people that need to make sense of their existence, that have settled and renounced of giving up their awesomeness, that are the ones that laugh at you. They're the ones that put you down, that call you crazy and stuff like that. It's the ones that aren't ready
to level up, that are gonna, because you make them question their existence and their belief system. So you're threatening their BS.
Right. Exactly. And it's
but do that. We need that.
Yes, absolutely. And it's just really being able to, I believe that anything is possible. And I just choose to be in space. And I never, where are you at right now? Are you in Singapore?
I'm in Singapore. So this was impossible, maybe 10 years ago?
Yeah.
To do a video call and broadcast it at the same time?
Yeah. And have all these amazing people come on here, and
Skype paved the way, and look at us now.
Yeah. The world is your oyster.
It is.
The world is your oyster.
It really is.
And really looking at, so a lot of people have heard, and I got actually a lot of Christian background. And I know part of my message is really taking that and demystifying religion, because people don't have issues with God, they have issues with religion. And and really re-educating people. And I've had some pretty profound experiences, spiritual experiences, with what I'm supposed to be doing on this planet with that. And getting people to really understand that, we've all heard fruits of the Spirit: patience, kindness, gentleness, blah, blah, blah. But there's one that a lot of people, there's actually 2 different versions of it in different places in the Bible. But the other one is forbearance, long suffering. Okay. You learn how to suffer. You learn how to go through pain. Because you're going to go through pain. If you're going to become something different than what you are, you're going to suffer. You're going to go through pain.
You're going to go through something,
You have to. The caterpillar, going from a caterpillar to a butterfly, I'm sorry, it's not a ride in an amusement park. It is painful.
There's a lot of darkness.
And think of a seed. A seed has to be completely destroyed in order for it to reach its potential.
Yeah. You need to break down that shell. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has to be completely destroyed. So what part of you needs to go away in order for you to step into your awesomeness? Right? And then you being willing to let that go. Because again, we have relationships with those things. Oh, I worked so hard in creating this part of me. Right? I worked very hard on, martial art, black belt, powered up, big, strong dude, everything. I worked really hard on protecting myself, and it got very lonely. Right? And I had to be willing to let that go. And the more we mature, the more we evolve, the more we're able to look at things and let them go. Be more objective, if you will, in life. And
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So I have a question for you.
Sure.
You read Slight Edge. I loved it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It did. It pissed me off.
So what pissed you off about it? I'm just curious.
The fact that it's easy to do and it's easy not to do.
Yeah, it's easy not to do.
It was like, Pika, stop playing yourself. You could have done this 10 times over. You've been thinking about it the whole damn time. Just get up and go do.
Right. Yeah.
That was it.
And
I was mad that they would put that in black and white for me to see and be like, well, shit, what have I been doing all this time?
Well, and think about it. I mean, our lives are perfectly designed to get the results they're getting. Perfectly designed. Every single choice I have made in my life is what's got me here. Now, friends, please do not think I am still human. I still have life. I still have struggles. I still have frustrations. I still have all of that stuff that goes on in my life. It's just the valleys aren't as high, peaks aren't as high, the valleys aren't as low, and they're spread out a little bit more, right?
Yep.
But it's understanding what tools do you have to fix what you need to fix, right? A problem is the reason it's a problem is because you haven't discovered the solution to it yet. That's it.
Yep. You just need more information.
You need more information or experience or whatever, right? So my question to you is, what has been 3 of your most profound books that you've read?
Me? Huh.
Yeah.
So obviously The Slight Edge, because that's something I use every day.
Powerful book.
It is. Very powerful book. Recent read was Shonda Rhimes' The Year of Yes, because that was another slap in my face about things I was telling myself and understanding that perfect is not possible, not if I'm doing a lot of different things. And one that's been from childhood that I read over and over again is The Golden Present.
The Golden Present.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, write that one down. And see, the reason I ask you that is because anytime I am, so is it Present?
Mm-hmm.
The Golden Present.
And the author was actually a very close person in my family. He almost took the place of my grandfather. His name is Swami Satchidananda. I grew up in a place called Yogaville in the middle of Buckingham County in Virginia. Wow. And he founded that. Swami Satchidananda is the man who opened Woodstock in '69.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Cool. So you'll have to send me that offer. I'm not even going to attempt to spell that.
That's fine. And it's cool because his name actually means existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Sat means existence. Chid means knowledge. Ananda means bliss. It's a Sanskrit name. So
awesome.
So I've grown up with his teachings, and that's something that it's the way I see the world as it is at the moment.
Thank you. I'll order it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I think you'll like it. There's a passage for every day. It's very easy to read.
I like that. You know, and to me, you can tell a lot by a person by the library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my library is scattered across 3 continents, but that's okay. I'm going to get it back together. Thank God for Kindle. So, yeah.
You got to come back to America.
I will visit. I will visit.
That or I got to go.
And I'll let you know when.
Yeah, I'm getting this itch to go travel, and I want to get off this.
How far are you from San Francisco?
So we're about 3 hours.
3 hours. If you get a chance, you should go check out the San Francisco Integral Yoga Institute. Swami Satchidananda opened a branch out there as well. It's all over the world, but yeah.
You'll have
very peaceful, lots of retreats. I will send it to you.
Yes, I would love to. Yes, I would love that. You know, so I want to leave everybody with this. You know, decide. Just decide. Decide. What do you want to do with your life? You know, because we all have heard that, you know, at the end of our day, when we're ready to pass to that other dimension, we don't regret the things we did. We regret the things we didn't do.
Yep.
And you were put on this earth for a reason, right? And really asking yourself, what is it? And I promise you, you start asking different questions. The reason questions are so awesome is because it determines what you focus on. right?
Yeah.
So you ask different questions, you get different answers, right? And
it's going to cut us off here in a minute, just so you know, yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay. But
yeah.
just really understanding that you can decide to do whatever you want to do. And I challenge you to believe that. I challenge you to believe that. So, Pika, it's been awesome. Thank you so much. And
yes, always. And please go follow Jeff. Yes, of course. Jeff Faldalen, Jeffaldalen.